Invite viewers to post their location and local time. He drives down the dirt road at sunrise, that moment when gold spills across the hood of his old Ford like a painter gone heavy-handed with the glitter. The air is pine sharp, the kind of clean you can taste, and he hums about trout versus venison for dinner, as though that's the biggest decision of his weekend. Then the truck lurches to a stop, coffee sloshes across the seat, and his breath fogs the windshield because there it is, 40 feet of glossy white arrogance sitting smack in the middle of his cabin lot. An RV not politely tucked aside, but planted like a castle complete with lawn chairs, a grill puffing smoke and laundry strung between his pine trees. Historians still argue whether civilization began with fire or fences. This morning convinces him it began with trespassing. He pounds on the RV door expecting an apology. Instead, out steps Karen, bleached bun, oversized sunglasses, iced coffee in hand like a scepter. She smirks, calls his sanctuary community property, and tells him the HOA allows her to camp here. He points at his initials carved into the dock, at the gate he welded from scrap, at the sweat equity dripping off every board. She waves him off as though he's a mosquito whining in her ear. "You don't give me chances," she says. "The HOA runs things, not you." Her laugh scratches like nails on a blackboard. She drags a chair to his dock and stretches out sipping coffee, calling him cowboy. He clenches his jaw so hard it could crack walnuts. The odd thing is, she acts like daring him to explode is a sport, the way some people cheer at rodeos or slap each other with tortillas on YouTube. He walks away, hands trembling on the steering wheel, already plotting how to pull her authority down brick by brick. But by the next day, the circus has grown. She erects a fake HOA sign, red tape, sloppy logo, and lures families to picnic on his dock. Kids splash, neighbors crack beers, and Karen, queen of chaos, announces community recreation lot with a grin that says she believes it. Some nod unsure, while others whisper apologies and start packing. He warns her it's trespassing. She whispers back, "Careful, cowboy. They might start calling you the troublemaker." Fringe tidbit in medieval Europe, squatting could actually earn legal ownership if left unchallenged long enough. Here, it just earns him rage and a camera roll of evidence. He knows then the battle is just beginning. The RV doesn't leave, it multiplies. By week's end, his private cabin lot resembles a state fair with worse hygiene. Tents sprout like mushrooms after rain, lawn games scatter across the grass, and someone even drags a wheezing pontoon boat onto his dock. Karen struts in a floppy hat and clipboard as if supervising a construction site of entitlement. She talks about community spirit while beer cans clink underfoot. He watches from the ridge, documenting everything with his phone. Every bonfire too close to dry brush, every cooler dumped into the grass, every teenager launching fireworks like wannabe astronauts. Historians still argue whether Rome fell from outside invaders or inside excess. Here it's clearly the excess. The sheriff comes once, listens, and sighs. Without a court injunction, it's civil, not criminal. Karen smirks as if she's just been crowned homecoming queen. She even raises a glass to him in mock toast. "See, John, even the law says you can't boss people around." He bites his tongue until it tastes like copper and drives away. But the sheriff's advice gives him a roadmap: injunction first, then enforcement. His lawyer, Mark Turner, is blunt. She's squatting on paper-thin HOA backing. We'll bury her with documentation. Photos, times, dates. Courts love paper trails more than cats love cardboard boxes. So John becomes a reluctant paparazzo. From the ridge, he captures bonfires blazing high enough to roast satellites, drunken shouts at midnight, and Karen holding a mock HOA meeting on his land. She scribbles on a whiteboard, proposes permanent community use, and silences dissent like a dictator at summer camp. He records every second. The irony, She thinks she's humiliating him by calling out, "Smile, everybody, John's making his creepy home movies again." Instead, she's starring in her own indictment reel. But danger escalates fast. One night, a bottle rocket veers sideways and smacks into his cabin siding. It fizzles harmlessly, but his pulse nearly detonates. He storms into the firelight, roaring like a preacher at revival. One more firework, one more bonfire near the brush, and the fire marshal will gut this place faster than you can say violation. The crowd wavers, murmurs, but Karen mocks him louder. "Hear that, folks? Sheriff Parker thinks he's the law now." Should we salute, laughter swells, but a few parents edge their kids closer, sensing truth in his warning. He leaves, burning with fury, but something shifts. At the diner next day, whispers float that HOA woman's gonna get somebody hurt. And then a note appears taped to his cabin door, anonymous, shaky handwriting. "John, you're right. We've seen enough. Call us if you need witnesses." It's small, fragile as ash, but it's proof the tide is turning. Fringe tidbit: in some parts of ancient Athens, neighbors were legally bound to testify against public nuisances. Karen would have been prime material. John folds the note into his pocket, gripped tight, knowing her empire is already starting to crack. The crack widens into a collapse. His lawyer phones one morning with the news like a bell tolling. The injunction is signed, ironclad, faxed to the sheriff already. By noon, a squad car crunches down the gravel road, Sheriff Daniels carrying papers thick enough to fell a pine. They approach together, boots sinking in dust, and the party atmosphere deflates the moment his badge glints in the sun. Karen struts forward, smirk at the ready, tossing out lines like "Sheriff here to join the fun." Daniels barely blinks. "Court says you're trespassing. 15 minutes or I start calling tow trucks." Tow trucks, 2 words deadlier than any threat. Panic erupts. Families scatter chairs folded in half grills, yank still smoking into hatchbacks. Music cuts mid-song as RVs groan into reverse tires spitting gravel. Karen shrieks at them as they abandon her cowards. This is our land, but her army flees faster than shoppers at a fire alarm sale. Alone, red-faced, she snarls at Daniels, who coolly repeats, "Leave now or face arrest." With no audience left to clap for her, she slams into her RV empire in ashes. For a few nights, peace returns, crickets, coffee, still water. But Karen doesn't surrender. She simmers. Bogus HOA letters appear in his mailbox demanding fines, neon violation slips duct taped to his cabin, even a late-night SUV stakeout where she hisses, "You think you've won, John?" This isn't over. It's a cornered cat routine, claws flailing. She even files a fraudulent lien at the county office, rejected with laughter by the clerk. Neighbors, once swayed by her BBQ charm, now roll eyes, whisper apologies, even bring him pies, as if confessing they fell for a carnival trick. The final straw is almost comical. Karen hammering a crooked fence across his property line, a sign reading, "Community Property HOA Use Only," flapping like a surrender flag. His lawyer calls it contempt of court with relish, promising she's cooked. Courtroom day arrives packed with townsfolk. Karen wields binders like weapons, rants about authority, and accuses conspiracies. The judge, silver-haired and stone-eyed, listens 10 seconds before silencing her with a gavel crack that echoes like a rifle shot. John's deed and injunction are presented. The sheriff testifies about the festival on private land. Karen shouts, flails, and finally crumbles. Fined, barred, ordered to pay damages. Rumors swirl she's ousted from the HOA board. Her SUV disappears from its perch. Her porch stays dark. John breathes again. Summer fades into gold red. Fall neighbors drop by with tools and pies, and he learns ownership is more than papers. It's standing firm so others see they can too. On one quiet evening, Daniel sips coffee beside him on the porch. Funny thing, the sheriff muses, crooks and drunks are easy. But folks who think rules don't apply, that's the real trouble. John chuckles, eyes on the rippling lake. She thought she owned the world. Turns out she couldn't even own her pride. Historians still argue whether pride comes before the fall here. They'd have their answer. The wind down drifts, slower, softer. He watches light slide off the water. No engines rumbling, no laughter slicing through the trees, only the rhythm of crickets and the occasional plop of a fish breaking surface tension. The silence feels earned, like a quilt laid carefully across tired shoulders. He remembers the bonfires, the fireworks, the jeers and marvels that chaos can vanish so quickly, leaving behind peace more profound because of what it survived. The neighbors know it too. Their cautious waves have turned into warm visits, gestures stitched with gratitude. What once felt like a lonely fight is now a quiet circle of solidarity. And in that stillness, the lesson lingers. Sometimes defending land is about more than boundaries on a map. It's about showing that bullies collapse under their own noise. That truth, however patient, will outlast the mockery. He sips his coffee, lets the night breeze move through the pines, and smiles at the whisper of calm settling in. Because this time, the peace is not fragile, it is anchored, it is his. Anchored.